Hi guys, welcome back to the channel. Today we are thinking about what do you eat when you come back off a ride? Do you dive into a packet of crisps you find on the side or chips, or do you tuck into some malt loaf? Which one would you choose? Okay, so when you come back off a ride, you really need to start thinking about refueling rather than eating. When you've been out on a ride, maybe an hour and a half, 2 hours, you maybe have burnt 1,000 calories. You're hungry, you've used the glycogen in your muscles after about an hour and a half, and your body is craving carbs. So if you don't think about it, you will come in and just see whatever's there and you'll try to eat whatever you can to replenish that need. But if you think about it a bit beforehand, you can really make sure you're refueling rather than just eating after the ride. So when you've been out on a ride, the main thing your body needs is carbohydrates. That's the main instant thing it wants to do. It wants to replenish the glycogen stores, the carbohydrate stores in your body that it's used up. And you may have a very low carb or sugar amount in your body, and your body really needs to replenish that first. You also need protein. Obviously, if you go for a ride, you're going to be breaking down muscle a bit. Your muscles are sore, they ache. Your body is going to want to replenish some protein to help that. But the first real need is carbohydrate. And how can you do that quickly when you come back from a ride? Well, one of the first things you can do is just have a recovery shake. Either a prepared one like this, which gives you a nice amount of carbs in a 3-to-1 ratio to protein. So that's going to cover all your bases. So that could be a good starting point. You could use a pre-prepared one like this, or you could make your own. It's really easy to make your own recovery shake. All you need to do is have some milk or oat milk or something like that if you're vegetarian, and mix a scoop of protein powder in with it, maybe a banana, and there you go, you've got yourself a nice recovery shake. Another alternative to something like this is just a chocolate milk or strawberry milkshake, one of those pre-prepared ones. That also gives you a very good carb intake and a bit of protein as well. So you could look out for those. Just, you can compare the ingredients on the back. As long as you don't really want a lot of fat when you come back. Your body wants sugars it can take in very quickly, and maybe a bit of protein as well to help that protein synthesis in your muscles. If you'd rather eat something, one thing you could look at eating, again pre-prepared, is something like malt loaf. Malt loaf is really good because it's very low in fat but very high in carbs. Same things with things like Jaffa cakes, those sorts of biscuit or cakes. Anything that's got a very high carb load to it and not much fat, that would be a good thing to go with straight after a ride. Another natural alternative could be something just like bananas. Bananas provide great sugar. Often people take them on a ride for energy, and equally when you come back off a ride, you could be using something natural like bananas. Another alternative when you come home, if you want to have something fairly healthy for you, is a snack bar. Quite often they are quite high in sugar, which is okay when you come back off a ride. You may not want to be eating those all the time, but generally when you come off a ride and you're looking for some sugar, that would be a sort of a good thing. Or a protein bar, which again gives you that extra little bit of protein and as well as some carbohydrate. This one here gives you 25 grams of carbs and about 15 grams of protein. They are slightly higher in fat as well, so you wouldn't want to eat too many of those, but one of those as part of your post-recovery snack or meal could be a good thing to do. One of my favourite post-ride snacks is some dates, which provide lots of carbs, really good sugars in dates. Obviously, again, maybe you wouldn't be eating these all the time during your normal day-to-day life because they are quite high in sugar, but as part of a post-ride snack, they're ideal, together with some nuts. And walnuts provide lots of good nutrients to our bodies, but again, there's some protein in that. So mixing those together, that's one of my favourite snacks. That's a good thing to go for. Another thing to do, which is a nice quick fix, is a peanut butter and jam or jelly sandwich. They are excellent at providing, again, sugars and a bit of protein. There is fat in peanuts, but generally it's considered quite good fat from nuts. So that would make an ideal either on the bike energy snack or post-ride energy snack. So the main thing to try to do is avoid food that's going to be very high in fat or very poor in sugars for that instant relief. So things like crisps probably aren't going to be a great energy snack. They're not going to have a lot of carbs in here, and it's going to have a lot of fat. So that's probably one to avoid. If you're really well planned, what you can do is pre-prepare some food before you go out, and you can often batch cook this. So you've got 2 or 3 tubs of it in the fridge ready for when you come back. So instead of just demolishing anything in sight, you could be eating something like some rice-based food, some rice with some veg mixed into it, or a bit of chicken for some protein, or ideally, again, sweet potato, a great energy source. Sweet potatoes baked with some veg, and then pre-prepare that, put it into some tubs. They would make ideal post-ride energy snacks. Because don't forget, you're not trying to, have a whole meal. You're just trying to replenish some of those carbs you've lost. One of the key things to nutrition when riding is trying to replenish maybe the carbs you've used, but not more, especially if you're trying to lose weight or maintain your weight. You need to be conscious of the fact that when you're out on your bike, you might have consumed 400 or 500 calories anyway, with a drink you've got and a snack on the bike, or a couple of energy gels. They might add up to 400, 500 calories. So when you come back, you don't really want to be eating more than 500 calories again if you've burnt about 1,000 on the ride. So you're trying to keep that sort of balance right. So by eating things like these things I've looked at, that would probably help you maintain that. Some foods we can eat have, a huge calorie surplus, and we don't really need that after a ride. We're feeling hungry and your body is needing sugars, but it doesn't need an overload of sugars. So I hope you found that useful. If you've got any comments about what you would like to eat, or what you find is a really good snack to eat after a ride, please drop it in the comments below. If you're also interested in general recovery after a ride, you might like to check out this video up here, and it gives you some more tips on how to recover well.